Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a pick a card reading for the time frame ahead. For these readings, I typically pick an overall theme with the cards. So I'll get into that right now. So the three cards that we have out here, the first one is the Death card. The next one is the Sweetness. And then in between that, we have Confidence. And then underneath that, at the bottom of the deck, I should say, is the Ghost card. So how I'm seeing this is, I was getting sort of this interesting energy of like past and future, because we are sort of at the time of the year where it's like we look back at the past, right? We look back at the last year, what happened over the last year, perhaps like some of the things that we changed, or like what, like an overview kind of energy, right? Like looking back at the last year, what happened in the past, because we're about to move into the future, right? To the next new year. So it's kind of feeling like this kind of energy where it's like, I'm just seeing like the infinity sign, right? It's kind of like this like conjunction point between the past energy that you have to examine or look through or do sort of like an overview summary of the past, perhaps the last year, but it could be longer. And then how that's going to shape how you move into the future. So there's that kind of energy coming through, especially because of the Ghost coming out and the Death card together. It feels like perhaps there's something that you are needing to look at or to release here with the Ghost. But it's kind of like, I feel like the experience is one where it's feeling very much like a release of something, like letting something go, perhaps. And with the Sweetness, it's kind of like this process may be uncomfortable because you do have the Death card, where it's like moving through a transition, or it's kind of bringing in like this Scorpio energy and Venus, because right now Venus is in Scorpio, so that could be like an influence that's sort of assisting in this transition, right? Like Venus is a planet that typically talks about like pleasure and like romance, but also connections and how we relate to other people, like how we relate to other people in relationships as well. And because of this Scorpio energy, that can be really intense, or like like playing with sort of like mysterious or perhaps like darker energies, or not darker in terms of like, maybe, right? Like it could be. Scorpio has all of that sort of like death, rebirth, sex, intensity kind of energy that's at play here. But with the Sweetness card, it's kind of coming through as being like, if you are willing to do this work, there's almost like a consolation prize is kind of how it's going through. Like there's like a gift for you in this. There's something perhaps unexpected that's almost like when you go to the doctor, for example, like as a kid, and you get sort of like a lollipop at the end of it. There's like a surprise, or like a sweetness, a Venus energy that comes from this sort of exploration. And I really love this Confidence card because it was reminding me. So this whole combination of cards here was reminding me of this passage from this book, The Warrior of the Light by Paulo Coelho. He's the author of The Alchemist. This is sort of like it says an inspirational companion to The Alchemist. So it's a small passage, which I will read for you right now. It says, "The warrior of the light studies the two columns on either side of the door he is trying to open. One is called fear, and the other is called desire. The warrior looks at the column of fear, and on it is written, 'You are entering a dangerous, unfamiliar world where everything you have learned up until now will prove useless.' The warrior looks at the column of desire, and on it is written, "You are about to leave a familiar world wherein are stored all the things you ever wanted and for which you struggled long and hard." The warrior smiles because nothing frightens him and nothing holds him. With the confidence of one who knows what he wants, he opens the door. So I feel like that's sort of the overall theme, where it's like you're stepping through a door where there is fear and desire on either side, on the other side of the door. It kind of feels like it's like both past and future. It's like in stepping through this door, you're revisiting a past event that somehow also parallels a future event as well. So it's this really interesting dynamic, which I will leave there. So that's the overall theme. I'm going to pick the overall groups and I'll hold up the individual cards and you'll find the timestamps in the description box below. All right, so for group 1, we have the Strength card. For group 2, we have Determination. And for group 3, we have Success. So I'm going to hold up all 3 cards so that you can compare group 1, group 2, and group 3. You'll find the timestamps in the description box below. Hi group 1, welcome to your reading. So let's get started here. We're starting with the Prism cards. Frustration and Strength. And so just to tie this back to the overall theme, I feel like the door that you're being asked to walk through is this energy that, like, on one side of the one pillar says frustration, the other pillar says strength, right? So it's like that's the portal that you're moving through. On either side of the door is frustration and strength. So this next period of time, however long this lasts for you, it was kind of feeling like this energy of like being on a short leash. Because we do have here the dog that's coming out, which says protection from a powerful friend. So I was just thinking, like, this morning when I was walking my dog, like, usually if there's nobody in the park, I sort of let my dog just run off, like, off leash. Like, he likes to run around and sort of like just do his business, that kind of thing. But it's kind of like if there's somebody else in the park, right? Especially if there's somebody else with another dog, I put him on a leash immediately, because it's kind of like you don't know what to expect when there's other people around. So it's kind of like, I feel like there was perhaps an energy here, especially because it's looking like, kind of feeling like looking back on the past energy, where it's like maybe there was an interaction where something unexpected happened, is kind of how it's feeling, where it's like you thought you were given free rein, but perhaps like you're being put on a short leash now because of whatever that event was. It's kind of like there's something about, but it's kind of like it is coming through with protection, because at the bottom of the deck you also have this protection card, right? It's like what I noticed is, like, when my dog's on his leash, he actually walks a lot better, right? Like, because there's less worry about, like, him running off, or there's less danger is kind of how it's coming through. So it's like this energy of like frustration or being on a short leash is actually an energy of protection, because it's like you're trying to build something here with the Strength card. Because how I'm seeing this is kind of like you have this like block of marble is how this is looking to me, and like trying to turn it into this like masterpiece. But it's kind of like if you're working with this big block of marble, you can't just like hack at it, especially with the 7 of wands coming out underneath this, right? It's like it's an energy of building, but it's kind of like there's you got to chisel at it sort of like little by little, right? It's kind of like Rome wasn't built in a day. It's that kind of thing where it's like you're trying to build something, some sort of masterpiece or legacy or whatever it is with the Strength card. And it's kind of like perhaps there's this feeling of frustration, or that you're being limited or whatever, however that plays out for you, because that's for your protection. So it's like you don't take off too much, or you don't like, you're not just like running free in a field. Like it's kind of feeling like you have to like chisel down at it. It's kind of how this is feeling. So that's sort of the overall energy. We're starting off here with the scales. Keep your life in balance. And then the Wheel of Fortune, right? So this scales energy is kind of coming through as being like a balance of strength and frustration, where it's like you can't put too much on one side, right? Because it's kind of feeling like, especially with these colors here, it kind of feels like you're at a red light, at a stop sign or something, like being forced to stop at a certain point, because there's an energy here of like you have to maintain a balance. You can't move forward right away, or you can't like, it has to be built over time, is kind of how this is feeling with the Wheel of Fortune. It has to be built over time. What's really interesting here is that there's, so I'll get to that anyway. You have the Three of Coins, but it came out in reverse. It kind of feels like there was something here about like some sort of collaboration fell apart, is what this is feeling like. It could be in terms of like a group, or so it. I feel like this is something from your past, is kind of, or like a past event. I feel like this is something where it's like you have to look back at why this partnership fell apart. And it feels like maybe you're trying to fix that, or because the next card you have here is the Pineapple, which is reconciliation. So there's some sort of collaboration that perhaps like flipped upside down, right? My dog's barking now. He doesn't like squirrels in the backyard, so this is feeling like some sort of perhaps collaboration fell apart, where it's like, because it was coming out the Queen of Pentacles, but it was sideways. It came out sideways and like flipped over like that. Something about like perhaps like a collaboration that has to do with material wealth of some sort fell apart, or it kind of was feeling like trust was broken, right? Especially with the dog here, like trust was broken, or like there was something that was not, something that just went wrong. I'm just gonna leave it like that generally, especially because the next card here is the Five of Cups, right? Like 3 cups were knocked down. There's this energy here of loss. I feel like this is something in the past, but that perhaps you're trying to reconcile, or trying to mend, or like trying to build the trust back. It's kind of like once trust is broken, it's kind of feeling like this energy of like, it takes a long time to build trust, but it takes very little to break it. And so it's kind of like on a short leash now. Sorry, group 1, I had to pause because there was a lot of noise suddenly. I feel like that's part of your energy as well, because it kind of, especially with this Three of Pentacles, because it kind of feels like whatever it is you're trying to build, it's not something that you're supposed to be building by yourself, right? I feel like it was meant to be sort of like a collaboration of some sort, but something happened. Here with the, there's the Tower card coming out. Again, this is feeling like a past energy, where it's like a tower happened, and it kind of threw this collaboration into being thrown out of the tower, is kind of how it's coming through. There was, like being thrown out of the tower is kind of how it's feeling. So it's kind of like, and I feel like that was perhaps a difficult energy, because it's like being flipped on your head, or like it's like a really significant change in fortune. It feels kind of like this was like a negative Wheel of Fortune energy, right? Where it's like, I feel like part of the difficult transition perhaps that you're being asked to work through is sort of like reconciling with somebody or a group or whatever. It's like trying to, especially this energy is difficult, and it's kind of coming through as being like little by little. Like it's something that has to be built up again, because it's not I'm just gonna leave it like that. Okay, and then the next card here is the Page of Swords. So I feel like this is talking about like sort of being on the outside of something is kind of how I see this Page of Swords, and learning. That it's like the Page of Swords to me talks about learning or studying or like gathering information. So it could be something like that. But this one comes through with like a very optimistic or an optimistic kind of energy of like making plans or like strategizing or thinking about perhaps approaching again. It kind of feels like whatever this tower energy was, where you were like removed from the tower, it's kind of like, because it was coming out like behind these cards, where it's kind of like it forced you perhaps in from a Queen of Coins, like this material energy, right? Like the Queen of Coins, into the Queen of Cups and the Fool, which is all this sort of watery energy. It's like being sort of overwhelmed in this sort of like emotional space, perhaps, right? Because it's kind of like this is where you fell from, and now it's like you're in the water. It's kind of how it's coming through to me. I feel like this is sort of like where you are now, and perhaps reflecting on like why it is that this partnership fell apart, especially because the Queen of Coins is coming out like this. There was something about the Queen of Coins energy that was a problem, or something like that, where it wasn't in balance, right? It's kind of like, especially with earth and water have to be balanced, because they're opposite energies. So it's kind of feeling like maybe that's where like water or this sort of emotional energy might not be something that you're necessarily comfortable in with the frustration, but it's kind of like if you want to build this strong foundation, you have to have all of like your the emotional aspects have to be very solid. And it kind of feels like with a Fool, it's like having to start again on something. It does feel like having to start again in terms of like how you feel, but it's kind of also like I'm seeing this as like she's in the water looking up at this tower energy where she was removed from, is kind of how this is feeling like. But I feel like whatever it is, it's also you are protected in this case. I feel like you're also sort of like being encouraged not to take risks here, because you have here the Claw, so be careful, do not take risks. And with the Knight of Pentacles coming out next, this is a very risk-averse kind of energy, where it's like taking things slowly, building things over time. This is kind of like a doing one little thing per day that builds trust or builds whatever it is that you're building, especially with trust, right? Or relationships of any sort. It's like you got to take it day by day, or take it slowly, or like it has to be at like sort of this regular pace, is kind of how consistency perhaps might also be very important here. And like taking breaks as well. It's like there could be something about like there are other things in the environment that perhaps are taking priority, is kind of how it's feeling, where it's like there's other things that are perhaps not related to what it is that you want to build, but it's like in order for this collaboration to work, it has to sort of be like a give and take where other people are also doing the things that they want and building the things that they want that may not have anything to do with what you're building, but together all of that diversity and structure adds to the final product, right? It's like not all the buildings should look the same is kind of how it's feeling like. If you're building a city, you want diversity, you want a whole bunch of different architects, not just one. So that's sort of the energy that's coming through here. And I feel like the Four of Cups is coming out next because it kind of feels like this was what was inside the tower, right? It's like with the Five of Cups, it's like there was something where 3 cups were lost or like they tipped over, right? And it's kind of coming through as being like, because maybe there was a situation where you were like you being, it's kind of like you can't fill other people's cup unless your cup is full, right? So it's kind of like this tower moment put you in the water so that you can fill your cup again, right? So that you can actually contribute in a meaningful way, perhaps, to whatever it is that's being built on the inside here. It kind of feels like there is kind of like this energy of being on the outside because you have to first make sure that your cup is filled before you can come back in. Because if you come into the tower or into this building, I don't want to call it a tower because I feel like it's a structure that you're trying to build. If you come back in but your cup is empty, it's like these ones are not going to fill your cup for you. You got to fill it yourself before you come into this place, is what this is feeling like. So I feel like that's part of the perhaps frustration, is like creating something for yourself. Even with the Knight of Pentacles, it could be something like a daily practice or some sort of new thing that you're trying out that can contribute to what it is that is being built in this place, right? But it's kind of like, again, it's like walking your dog. You got to do it every day. There's something here about like you have to do it every day. You have to commit to it. With the Knight of Pentacles, it's something that perhaps might feel a little bit like, I don't know, like tedious or humbling or something like that, but it's kind of like it has to be done. It has to be done every day. So I'm gonna leave it there, group 1. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. It helps so much. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. Hi, group 2. Welcome to your reading. So let's get started at, not at the bottom, sorry. The first 2 cards that we have here are determination and rejection. So just to tie this back into the overall theme, there's a door that you're stepping through, and on either side of the door are these 2 energies. One is determination, the other is rejection, which is really interesting. And at the bottom of the deck here you have anger, because it feels like you're on some sort of path. At the bottom of the deck you have here the coins, where it's kind of like you're determined to follow through on some sort of path here, or like to move forward with something or whatever. But there's an energy here of rejection, and the anger card coming out at the bottom, where it's kind of feeling like it kind of feels like there's like a fear of rejection or anger. It's like if you step forward on this path, there's kind of like this energy of like it might make people angry, or it might require you to reject certain behavior. Like it's kind of like, especially with like the new year coming up, like something like New Year's resolution. So it doesn't have to be related to that. It's just coming through with that vibe of like, say you want to change up a habit, right? Like for example, like I'm gonna stop drinking, or I'm gonna stop whatever, eating sugar or whatever. It's like that kind of like resolution where it's like you're going to reject something that you have been doing in order to reach some sort of goal with the determination, right? Could be something like money related or whatever. It's like I'm going to commit to this goal, which means that I have to reject some other thing. And it's kind of like when you do that, when you sort of make those commitments to yourself, sometimes that means like when you leave a certain behavior behind, it also ends up sort of like separating you from people that you were once like the people that you drank with, or the people that you went out to eat with, like that kind of thing. Like it's like, so it's kind of like you're rejecting a behavior or making a new commitment to yourself. It, as a result, has an effect of rejecting people who you used to do those behaviors with, for example, right? So it's kind of like there may be this sort of fear of that, of like, in doing something that's good for yourself, it may cause other people to become upset or angry because you're now rejecting that energy, is kind of how it's feeling. It kind of, but what's interesting about this is that at the like underneath the anger card, you have here the vulture, which says depression, anxiety, worry that someone is against you, which to me is implying that I feel like if they're truly supportive of your dreams and your commitments and things like that, like the true friends, let's say, or the true relationships, the ones that are very harmonious, are the ones that are going to support you. It's kind of just like there may be sort of like, maybe in the past there was situations where it's like when you try to make a change for the better for yourself, it was met with sort of like a rejection, anger kind of energy, where it's kind of like, I feel like that's what's shifting here for you. It's kind of like there's actually at the bottom of this deck an Ace of Cups energy, where it's like you're making a really positive change right here with the determination. That's a really positive sort of solar plexus kind of energy. You're making a positive change for yourself, like going towards a successful energy. And it's like you have a lot of support actually, but I feel like there's a past energy about like the last time you did something like this, it caused a response of anger or rejection, which is interesting. So just keep that in mind. I feel like it's perhaps like a particular relationship that you may be worried about. But anyways, so we're starting off here with the broom, which says new home, new attitude, right? It's kind of like a cleaning up your space, getting things ready, like sticking to some sort of routine, perhaps with the determination. And you have here the 7 of Cups and the 8 of Cups, which is interesting. Why I was like, because it's a Cups energy, right? So it could be something like with the 7 of Cups. This sort of talks to me about like being confused or like not being able to pick an option, is kind of how this is feeling. Like just sort of being swayed by different possibilities. It's like a very non-committal kind of energy where it's like you're not picking something, is kind of how it's feeling to me. And with the 8 of Cups coming out next, this talks about sort of like walking away from something that's not satisfying, right? So it's kind of like this 7 of Cups is what you're walking away from. Like the energy of like not choosing something, or like being sort of like non-committal, or like it feels very like Neptunian, like kind of just like letting yourself be swayed by whatever current sort of passes you by, is kind of how it's coming through. Letting yourself be swayed is what this is feeling like. But it's kind of like with the determination, it's like having really like a really strong, purposeful attitude to move forward with something, right? And that perhaps means walking away from habits or things that are not serving you, or whatever it is, that is sort of a process, right? Though, like, it's not something that's like, it's not something that's going to happen overnight is kind of how it's coming through. But anyways, you are working towards here the crown, which says honor and respect will come to you. Which to me is feeling kind of like something like when you honor and respect yourself, when you do things where it's like you respect yourself for the choices that you make, it's like that energy comes back to you, right? Like it's like being in the energy of what you want to attract. So it's like when you honor and respect yourself, it's this, it just brings more of that energy back to you. And I feel like it has to do here with the, you have here the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Swords coming out side by side, which to me is an energy of like a strong conviction, a strong determination, a strong purpose to move towards something that you want, right? Like to be very determined in your actions. I feel like you have this sort of either like a passion or a lot of energy, like a renewed sense of energy perhaps. And also with the Ace of Swords, it's like a truth or knowing or clarity, like all of this sort of clarity and passion to move forward with something. And you have here the mountain road, which says you are on the road to success, right? It's like this is the mountain that you're trying to climb, and it is a road. You have to climb it gradually. You can't go all the way to the top immediately. There's this sort of like gradual process that happens, and it is an upward climb, an uphill climb, but that is going to bring you towards success. And then this is where sort of like the rejection energy comes in, which is really interesting because it's kind of like so there's a dynamic between the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups, which is really interesting because those were the two cards that came out in group 1 as well. I was using a different deck, but it was those were the two cards, Queen of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles. So Queen of Pentacles is a very Capricorn energy, and it's coming out with 8 of Pentacles, where it's kind of like there was this 8 of Coins to me talks about like getting the final piece, right? It's kind of like, so it has to do with rejection. I don't know why these cards are coming out together. It feels like there's something about like maybe you are being rejected by a Queen of Coins kind of energy. It's like kind of like there's something about like they have something that they could like, if they're rejecting something about this offer or something like that, perhaps. So it's kind of maybe putting you in a Queen of Cups kind of energy where it's like, or maybe you are rejecting this is kind of how it's feeling. There may be sort of like I don't know who's rejecting who, but it's kind of like this is not, something is not moving forward, perhaps because it's what I'm seeing here is this kind of like energy of like the 6 of Coins where it's not reciprocal. That might be a kind of energy where it's like, especially with the crown kind of energy, it's like perhaps what they're offering you is not what it is that you need, or it's like it's kind of feeling like maybe this was a partnership or something that like was there was a collaboration at some point, or there was something happening together where each of you had something that the other person needs, is kind of how it's coming through with the 6 of coins, but it's kind of like you may be actually now trying to do something on your own, because it's kind of like what this person is offering is something that you don't actually need anymore, is kind of how this is feeling, because it's like you know that this is something that you can do on your own, perhaps. It might be something like that, where it's like, you know that you can do this by yourself. You kind of actually don't need their input or their this final piece. It's kind of like you're here on your own. You're doing something on your own is kind of how this is feeling, because it's like you have it. You have all that you need is kind of how it's coming through. So it's kind of like so it might be kind of something like where it's like you're saying no to somebody, or you're rejecting what it was that they were initially trying to give you, is kind of how it's coming through, because perhaps you have some sort of like, you know your worth, or you have self-respect for what it is that they're trying to give you. And it's kind of like, if they want to contribute to this, it's almost like they need to bring something else now. It's kind of like that because it's kind of like you can do this part on your own. You don't need their, whatever it is that they're bringing here. You don't need this part of like what it is that they're doing. You can do that by yourself. It's because you have 3 aces, right? It's kind of like you have 3 aces. You have 3 aces. It's kind of like the Ace of Pentacles is the thing that you're needing, but that's the thing that they're not willing to give up. That's what it is. They're not willing to give up the Ace of Pentacles. Why? Because it's something that they are holding on to, or it's something that they're holding on to, and it's kind of like, I feel like you're willing to be like, I'm just gonna take the long road then. I'm gonna take the long road because this is not, I don't need this. I don't need this from you. So it's like something like they have the Ace of Pentacles, but they're not giving that to you because, for whatever reason, I have no idea why. It just feels like, it's almost like they're trying to give you something like a lower value object or something that you don't really need from them. So it's kind of like, okay, if I'm not going to get the Ace of Pentacles here, I'm going to just take the long road. I'm going to go find it somewhere else. I'm going to create it for myself. I'm going to do something else because it's not worth the confusion. It's not worth this sort of like non-committal. Are you going to, or are you not? It's not worth it. Okay. And then you have here the Knight of Cups and the Knight of Swords, because it kind of feels like when you're at the top of the mountain, because it's coming through as like, this one is trying to climb the mountain, is kind of how it's feeling after you, because it's kind of like you've made a choice to move on without them, or you've made a choice to pursue this dream or goal or whatever independently. It's like you're going to do it by yourself. And it's kind of like they may be coming to offer you, but it's kind of like maybe you're worried that they're angry or something. It's like maybe you're worried that you've angered them by rejecting this offer, because it's like, I feel like that might be something of like a misconception as well, because so they are coming in with the Knight of Swords. Perhaps they have some sort of message for you, or it's kind of like, it kind of feels like they're trying to renegotiate, is what this is feeling like. I would just be cautious, because if they're offering you something like a lower value of something that you don't want, it's like, it's not happening. It's like the Ace of Pentacles is what you need. They're giving you something like a piece that you can create by yourself. You don't need this. They're giving you like one piece of the puzzle when it's like you want the whole thing. Anyways, so group 2. Determination and self-respect. I'm going to just leave it like that. That's what you're working towards. If you have to reject people along the way or reject offers along the way, do it. That's part of the deal. So I'm going to leave it there. If this message resonated with you, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. It helps so much. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. Hi, Group 3. Welcome to your reading. Just to tie it back into the overall theme, there is a doorway that you're going into, and on either side of the door, you have flow and success, which I feel like is kind of like this, it's not what you expect is kind of how this is feeling to me, especially with the flow card, because it kind of feels like that you're working towards success. You're going towards success. That's sort of like the desire aspect, right? Like the thing that you desire, the thing that you've been working towards. But then this flow card is coming out as sort of being like this energy of like something that's almost like a fear, where it's kind of like there's something here about like feeling like you're not in control of the direction that you're going in, is kind of how it's coming through. Like this is just like the river is going to take you and you have no choice over how the river flows, is kind of how it's coming through. So it's like you are headed towards success, but it's almost like you're not the one driving. It's like somebody else, or like just the universe or whatever, the flow energy is the one that's taking you there. So it's like you have to surrender control, is kind of how this is feeling. And you have here the trust card, because I feel which is necessary, but look at all these beautiful colors. Anyways, so let's get started with the reading part. We have here to start off Desk and the Devil card, which is interesting because it's kind of bringing in this Capricorn energy. So something that I was noticing just in this time frame right now we're in Sagittarius season, right? Sun is in Sagittarius and Mercury is retrograde in Capricorn, right? For this time frame. And then by the end of this week, I think on December 22nd, we enter Capricorn season. So the sun is in Capricorn and Mercury shifts into Sagittarius. So it's kind of like this energy of like Mercury and the sun are flipping places. I have no idea what that means. Like there may be some sort of like energy here, especially Capricorn is a success-driven energy, right? So this devil energy is feeling like, so perhaps like finding success in your work. So that might be your goal, or what it is that you're working towards. But it's kind of like, it could just be like the holidays, right? Like you're taking a holiday, or there's kind of like this energy of like something's shifting focus. Perhaps at the end of this week, but it could be further on. It doesn't have to be bound to time. It's just kind of feeling like there's a significant shift happening that feels like it's not, like it's an unexpected turn or something like that, perhaps having to do with family, but that it is where the success is kind of how it's feeling. So pay attention to your work with the Devil card, but then what comes next is this Seahorse Six of Cups, which says family matters. So Six of Cups to me is a very like a soulmate energy, right? It's a soulmate energy. So this includes like all soulmates, like family, friends, romantic as well. It's all sort of included in this Six of Cups energy with the family matters. So it's kind of feeling to me like it's like part of this journey towards success actually involves like surrendering to the flow, where there actually may be a sort of like a break or an unexpected turn that has to do with like spending more time with your family or something like that, right? With the Six of Cups, it just feels like it's kind of like what's coming through here is like you're going to find success when you stop thinking about work, is kind of how it's feeling to me, which is really interesting because I feel like there's something here about like with the next cards coming out, you have Jug, which says lighthearted, carefree time, and the Page of Pentacles. So this Page of Pentacles to me is an energy of like spending time on hobbies like reading, doing crafts, like learning things, just like doing things that you would do when you are not focused on work or study or whatever. It's like, it's something that's fun, but also very grounded. And I feel like it has to do with like, so it could be like during the holidays, that might be a focus for you, because it's kind of just feeling like spending time with your family, or like friends or whatever, whoever it is that you care about. Like, it's like spending time with your loved ones in this sort of lighthearted, carefree time is actually the path towards success, because you have here the Lovers card coming out next, which I love this Lovers card, because to me, it's a much more like intimate form of the Lovers card, because it's not like this, like, because normally in the Lovers card you have like this angelic figure at the top that's like sort of bringing these two together, but this almost feels like a person that you know is bringing you together with somebody else, right? It's kind of like, it's much more intimate and like everyone knows each other kind of energy, where it's like you're being brought together with somebody. It doesn't quite feel like a matchmaker, but kind of, it's kind of feeling like there's an energy here of like, it's whatever it is that you're looking for, or that you're like, you've been focusing a lot on here with the Success card, like whatever it is, it's like you're being brought together with it, but it doesn't happen in the sort of when you're at your desk is kind of how it doesn't happen when you're at your desk. It happens when you're having fun with your friends or whatever it is. It's like, that's where the success is kind of how it's coming through here. Because you have here the Carrot, opportunity or windfall. And then you have here the Wheel of Fortune and the Ace of Pentacles. This elusive Ace of Pentacles, because it's like at the bottom of this deck that I forgot to mention here, you have the Nine of Pentacles, the Four of Wands, and the Ten of Pentacles, and then the Judgment and Sun going out next. Judgment and Sun coming out underneath here, right? It's like, perhaps you're at this Nine of Pentacles energy where it's like you're doing a lot of things independently, you're being really productive, you're focusing on work, you're just like very much focused on your work, what it is you're doing. But then you have the Four of Wands and the Ten of I'm getting all my elements confused. Four of Wands and Ten of Pentacles, where it is like your home and stable life is actually where this Ace of Pentacles is, right? It's somewhere that you don't expect. It's like when you take your focus away from this energy, it's like there's the Ace of Pentacles. That's what it is that you were looking for. This opportunity or windfall that you were looking for was actually sort of like hidden somewhere else, is kind of how it's feeling. It's not at your desk. And here with the Wheel of Fortune, whenever I see this card, I think of like the Rumpelstiltskin fairy tale, where it's like turning, like Rumpelstiltskin is this sort of like, I don't know what he is, like a goblin or something that can turn thread into gold, can weave gold. And so he enters into this deal with like this girl, so that like he'll help her weave gold, but in return she has to give him her firstborn child. Like, that's sort of like the deal that they strike. And it's kind of like she wants to get out of this contract, but the only way to do that is to guess Rumpelstiltskin's name, like his true name. He doesn't tell her his name is Rumpelstiltskin. No one's gonna guess that name. But it's kind of like she gets input from, I don't know what it is, like fairies or whatever. Like, she gets input, she gets help from others who want her to break out of this contract with the Wheel of Fortune. So it's like, I don't know where this is going. It feels kind of like, that's the thing about the flow energy though. It's like, I feel like there's a doorway that you're stepping into. You don't know where it's going. It's kind of like you just need to surrender and let go of control and let the river sort of take you where it is that you're going. And that's going to lead you to success, or breaking out of some sort of contract, perhaps with the devil here, or some sort of like whatever, could be contract or something like that, breaking out of that so that you can keep this opportunity that you have, this Ace of Pentacles, right? It's like, so it's kind of like, so if there is some sort of like tricky contract that you're in, that you're wanting to remove yourself from, it's like the answer to that will come to you when you're not focused on the contract, when you're not focused on the work or the being tied to your desk or whatever it is. It's like when you're having fun with your friends, or when you're in this sort of energy of like just surrendering to the flow, it's like that's where the Ace of Pentacles, the solution, the epiphany, Rumpelstiltskin's name is going to like come to you. The solution is kind of how this is feeling to me. And it could actually take you down a path that is unexpected, is kind of how it's feeling, because you have here the Knight of Cups, the Page of Wands, and the World card, where it's like finishing the cycle, right? Like whatever that devil energy is, but also this sort of like Knight of Cups, Page of Wands, where it's like an exploration or a freedom to express or whatever. It's kind of like there's an energy here of like being free, being freed from the contract. It's like the river is going to take you to the ocean, as it always does. There's just this element here of like surrendering, of trusting, of letting the river take you in however way that it does. But you are going to find success at the end of this, right? It is going to bring you to where you need to go. There is absolutely a new start. I just feel like it's not what you expected, or it's in a different place than where it is you've been focusing all your energy, is kind of how that's feeling. So, group 3. I'm going to end it there. You do have a lot of, like, you have the firecracker, excitement, and then the sun, happiness and well-being, and then the heart card under that, love, deep affection, and caring, right? So you have a lot of positive energy around you with this sort of 10 of Pentacles energy. I just feel like it's like there's something unexpected, or there's like an unexpected turn or an unexpected event perhaps that is like going to shift your focus, or what it is that you've been like working on or focused on or something. And it feels like really lovely here with my dog barking to end it. So I'm going to leave it there. If this message resonated with you, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. It helps so much. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.